Khalil Roundtree didn't seem bothered by the criticism from a few fans and the UFC light heavyweight champion about his latest performance. In the main event at UFC Baku on Saturday, Roundtree outclassed Jamahal Hill with crisp, striking over 5 rounds, securing a unanimous decision victory. The win marked a strong rebound for Roundtree, who came up short in a gritty title fight against Alex Pereira at UFC 307 in October. Despite controlling the fight, Roundtree's performance didn't thrill everyone, including UFC champion Magomed Ankalaev, who tweeted that he was dozing off during the headliner. Roundtree fired back at Ankalaev during the post-fight press conference. "It's no surprise," Roundtree said. "That guy's obsessed with talking about me. He's the champ. Why is he so focused on me? Go enjoy your belt and get off Twitter. No more Ankalaev questions tonight. If you bring him up, I'm dropping the mic." Before shutting down the Ankalaev talk, Roundtree expressed openness to another title shot, but stopped short of demanding one. Having earned his previous opportunity with a 5-fight win streak, he's likely one victory away from locking in the top contender spot. For now, he's leaving his path up to the UFC matchmakers. "Where does this win put me?" Roundtree said. "Wherever the UFC decides. I've said it before. What I want is obvious, but it's their call." One reporter noted that Ankalaev's boredom was shared by some fans, with a few reportedly leaving the arena during the main event. Roundtree, unfazed, said he didn't notice the exits while locked in against Hill. "People left the arena?" he said with a grin. "What, during my walkout? Did I upset someone? I didn't even notice. Those camera lights are so bright I could barely see the crowd. Nearly tripped walking out. But it's all good. I was ready to fight. To those who left, whatever. To everyone who stayed, thank you."
Right, everyone, the news has broken. I'm sure everybody's seen it. UFC undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Moving forward, very, very important to me, just that I acknowledge everybody quickly who has supported me in this. I'm not going to say it was a tough time, but a bit of a challenging time over like the last kind of 10, 11 months that I have been inactive due to no fault of my own. But luckily, that is all behind us now. Massively appreciate the support from everybody. Massively appreciate the support going forward. I am going to keep this thing as active as possible. I want to be the best heavyweight ever to walk the face of the earth. I'm going to defend this thing as many times as I possibly can. I'm going to keep you guys entertained. I'm going to really give back to everybody who has shown me support over the last year, over the last 5 years, over the last 10 years. Really appreciate the support and love from everybody. And we're going to see an active, defending UFC heavyweight undisputed champion going forward. Thank you guys, and I'll speak to you soon.
Tom Aspinall may be looking for new challengers now that Jon Jones has retired, but a matchup with Francis Ngannou isn't on the horizon anytime soon. After news broke that Jones had stepped away from MMA, with Aspinall elevated to undisputed heavyweight champion, UFC CEO Dana White was asked about the odds of Ngannou returning to the promotion. The topic stemmed from a casual remark by Ngannou's coach, Eric Nixick, but White quickly dismissed any interest in bringing back the Predator, even if Ngannou wanted to return. "I've learned over time with Francis, what he says publicly doesn't always line up with what he says privately," White said at the UFC Baku post-fight press conference. "I'm not a big fan. I'd be stunned if Francis ever came back here, for a lot of reasons. He's not always straightforward in public, and I'm just not interested." The messy public fallout between Ngannou and the UFC unfolded after he captured the heavyweight title and defended it against Cyril Gane. A knee injury sidelined him for nearly a year afterward, and the Gane fight was the last on his UFC contract. Negotiations for a new deal fell apart, with Ngannou pushing for the freedom to pursue boxing matches, sparked by a heated verbal feud with then heavyweight boxing champ Tyson Fury. Beyond boxing, Ngannou also sought fewer contractual restrictions to gain more control over his career. Ultimately, the two sides parted ways, and Ngannou inked a high-value, multi-fight deal with PFL. He also got a shot at boxing, narrowly losing a controversial decision to Fury before suffering a devastating knockout against Anthony Joshua in his second pro bout. Ngannou is still tied to PFL, making a UFC return highly improbable, regardless of public chatter. White, for his part, shows no interest in mending fences and is focused on moving the UFC heavyweight division forward with Aspinall as its champion. Ngannou addressed the latest speculation in a post on X on Saturday night. Jon Jones announced his retirement from MMA on Sunday, but the former UFC heavyweight champion is now facing fresh legal issues after new charges were filed against him in New Mexico. According to court records obtained by MMA Fighting, Jones was charged on June 17th with a misdemeanor for leaving the scene of an accident. No great bodily harm or death. stemming from an alleged incident on February 24th. It's unclear why charges were filed months later, but Jones is set for a bond arraignment on June 24th. The Albuquerque Journal reported that the charges relate to a car accident where police found a woman in the front passenger seat of one of the vehicles involved, showing clear signs of heavy intoxication and missing clothing from the waist down. The woman told police Jones was driving the vehicle but fled on foot after the crash. She later called Jones, and a police service aide reported that the person on the phone, believed to be Jones, sounded heavily intoxicated and made remarks suggesting he could arrange lethal force through others. When an officer spoke to Jones, he reportedly made vague references to violence, but dodged questions about his identity. Days later, police interviewed Jones in person. He claimed the woman had been at his home earlier, already intoxicated, and called him after the crash. Jones said the person she handed the phone to used unprofessional language, causing him to question their legitimacy. The woman told police she consumed alcohol and mushrooms at Jones's house and recalled needing to change clothes. But her next memory was waking up at the crash scene. She said Jones was the last person she remembered driving her vehicle. According to the police report, Jones called her phone 13 times between the crash and the next morning and sent her text messages. This isn't Jones's first encounter with the law. In 2015, he faced a felony charge for a hit and run after his vehicle ran a red light, collided with two cars, one driven by a pregnant woman, and he fled on foot. He pleaded guilty to leaving the scene, receiving a conditional release, up to 18 months of supervised probation and community service. That incident cost him his UFC light heavyweight title and led to a suspension from the promotion. Jones has also faced multiple DWI charges over the years. The charges surfaced on the same day Jones retired as UFC heavyweight champion. His last fight was in November 2024, and he had been non-committal about returning to the octagon. Ultimately, he chose to retire, relinquishing the heavyweight title, with Tom Aspinall now elevated to undisputed champion. Kevin Lee seems to be debating on his future in MMA after a brutal knockout loss and injuries sustained last Friday. Lee made his PFL debut in the main event of PFL 6, facing off against standout lightweight Gadzhi Rabadanov in a semi-final bout for the lightweight world tournament. Rabadanov, a heavy betting favorite, overwhelmed Lee with a flurry of punches in just over half a round, ultimately face-planting the former UFC fighter for a devastating knockout. In the aftermath, Lee took to social media to reflect on the defeat and his ability to withstand punishment. "I'm no quitter, I gave it my all and aimed high," Lee posted on X. "But my legs aren't what they used to be. I can't take shots like I once did. And honestly, I'm not sure if that'll ever come back." Lee also disclosed that he suffered a jaw injury during the fight, requiring his jaw to be wired shut. It's been a rough stretch for Lee, once seen as a fighter with boundless potential and star power. The Motown phenom has lost 4 of his last 6 fights, including stoppage defeats to Charles Oliveira and Rinat Fakhretdinov. His only victories in that span came against Diego Sanchez at Eagle FC and a finish on the regional scene for Lights Out Championship. Meanwhile, Rabadanov advances to the PFL Lightweight Championship bout against Alfie Davis, with the winner set to claim a $500,000 prize. That's it for all the MMA news for today. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Thank you for watching.